5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And it's live.
This is Leicester Till I Die TV. Watch and subscribe on YouTube and listen on your podcast platform.
There I am. Good evening. How the devil are you? Got caught out there. Sloppy seconds. How are we doing? Wayne will be joining me soon. He knows me too well. He was just finishing eating his egg and chips off, and he knew that I was going to put him live in the show while he was eating, and he's gone off camera. Damn blast. Damn that pigeon, that's what I say. Welcome along, though. How are you doing? And all the rest, the good afternoons, mornings, night, day, bye, hello, wherever you are in the world. One of those will apply to you. Proper football back is this weekend. Yes. Bloody international. I noticed on Sky they were actually talking about how to make, sort of after what Thomas Tuchel had said about the England crowd, about how to make these matches. I've just seen what Wayne said. How to make these matches more interesting. Easy. Put us up against decent teams. Tom is in. Hi, Tom. How are you doing? Good to be back with some proper footy. Yes, it is. And talking of proper footy, before every footy match, we have a proper press conference where we can read and listen and watch what the club wants us to. I haven't seen it all yet. I've kind of heard it, but not seen it. But let's go and let's bring. We'll bring, what's his name? Marty in. It's going to be one of those nights. Marty in. Here we go.
Recovering from a small muscular issue, but he's getting very close.
And have you got everyone back from the international break? I know there's been games over the last day or two. Are all of your players back in the building now? Yeah,
everybody's back. So actually, the last ones were long travels for both Hamza and Bobby, but they came in a good shape. Bobby in a good mood. He scored a good goal and good result for them. And great news as well for Abdo, for Jordan, classifying with Ghana. Yannick as well, having good results. So overall, a good international break for us as well.
And just to confirm with Steffi, I know you said he's getting close. Will he be available, do you think, to play any stage of the game this weekend?
We'll see. We're assessing. And as always, I like to sit with the medical, to listen to them, sit with the player, and take a final decision. But what is true is that Steph is a very important player for us. And it will be good news. The sooner, the better he's back. But at the same time, that we want to make sure that when he's back, there is no setbacks and there is no new issues.
You mentioned a host of your players there who have been away on international duty, but there have been a number of players who have still been here with you and the coaching staff. How have you tried to utilise the international break?
Yeah, it's been a good one. It's been a good one because actually the level of application and I would say the focus, how we use these days, has been very good. I'm happy with the way the players approach this period. And hopefully we can see the results of it in a week that will be demanding, because obviously we're going to play 3 games. And then there's not much time to spend in the pitch in these kind of weeks. But trying to improve some of the areas that we know that we might improve, that we need to improve. And I think the response from the guys has been very good.
Where are those areas, do you think, that where you've tried to introduce elements of improvement for your squad?
We always try to assess and look how were the last games, how we are, especially after a block of 5 games from the last international break. What are the things that we have improved? I think that definitely our build-up has been much better. We are getting better on the counter press, but still we want to press better. We want to press higher. We want to create more chances. We want to have more clarity in the last third. We want to make sure that we have more dominance through the games. So it's different areas that then we try to take more the tactical part of it and try to work on it in the pitch. And hopefully these last 2 weeks have been helpful to improve those areas.
Have you seen the development when, and I know it's difficult in training and not, I suppose, in a real game day environment, but when you watch your players in those kind of drills and in those training matches, have you seen the development beginning to take hold of what you hope to see?
It's my job to try to develop the team, and I would like to think that there is always an improvement. The reality is that football, as life, is not linear, so it's up and downs. But when I look back 3 months ago and where we are now, there is definitely an improvement on at least on the things that for us are important and the things that we want to see. There is more cohesion, there is more clarity on the ideas, there is more starting to emerge some relations in between the players in the pitch, and that's part of the process. Then of course we want to make this process as soon as quick as possible, because it's about competing really well. But we are aware that, and it's going to be the case probably. I'm sitting here in 6-7 months and I will tell you that still things to improve, and my nature is that even if I'm sitting here for the next 5 seasons, I will tell you that there is still a lot of things to improve, because that's the way you survive in high competition and high performance.
How beneficial has it been during this international break to take stock of where you are, where this team is, and 9 games into this championship season, I suppose, how you kind of review the season more widely so far?
No, we always try to analyze where we are from week to week, from game to game, from training to training. It's true that now we're getting into this point. I think it's almost 3 months since I've been here, these 100 days, and obviously you like to do this kind of review. So definitely I think that there are areas where we have been improving. The most important for me is that I see a team that is working really hard on the training pitch, that on the games they are trying to work hard for the badge, for the club, that we want to be better on everything we do. I was now saying that the build-up has been better, but we want to be much better than what we are at the moment. We know that we are getting a decent amount of points, but at the same time, I'm aware that we should have done better in some other games, that we need to improve in areas that are important of our game. And then reality is that it's a tough league, that as well I've been talking since I arrived here that this will take some time, that sometimes when we look back at how was the situation in the summer, I think that many people will rate this star as a very good one. Now suddenly, because we are Leicester and because we are already there, perhaps it might feel a bit short for some. Reality is that we want to be always at our best, and that means to win every game. And we are not at the top of the table. That's our aim. We need to keep improving while we develop, I've been saying that, an identity that can help us to sustain this over the next season. So it's not just about immediate success, which is always so important, but at the same time building something in terms of the identity in and off the pitch, and that help us to be as competitive as we can.
When you look at Portsmouth this weekend, what have you made to them in your analysis?
Yeah, a team that I know well. Last season, I think they did really well after promoting, and always difficult to play against them because they are a physical side, that they are good on set plays, they are good on actually high press, they are very aggressive. They got these quick transitions because they invest a lot of players on this kind of high press, and as well they charge the box well. They got good players on 1v1 as well, so it's a dangerous team. We need to be at our top, especially because the way we play is I would say a good chance for them to try to use the high press, the energy on the way they do things, to try to disrupt and break our build up. I think the game will be very important for us, the way we manage this situation, and as well how good we are when we go into the last.
They've proven themselves against teams in this division who have started the season very well, ending Middlesbrough's unbeaten run last time out. How do you mitigate their threats this weekend while still trying to play your own game, and eventually you will hope, of course, to take all 3 points?
Yeah, the approach is always the same. It's about huge respect to the position, because definitely they got the strengths, and then especially try to focus on what are our strengths, how we can really punish them, more than just being very worried about what they are good at, but especially how we can exploit the weaknesses, if I can say that. So I think the approach for us will be try to be loyal to our identity, understanding that each game demands different things, and in that part I said already that I think the way they defend is a big part of why they are so competitive, and then improve the things that we know that we still need to improve.
It might feel a little bit strange on Saturday with it being a 7:45 kickoff, which isn't ordinarily something you see every week in the Championship. But how important is it to pick up where you where you've kind of finished off before the international break with that win against Swansea, and coming back and starting this next block of games, which look like a really important 6 games between now and the next international break, with a win this weekend?
Yeah, regarding the schedule, as you say, it's not regular, but I love the evening games. So hopefully we'll have a good attendance and we can deliver a good performance for our fans. And I think every game in Championship is very important. I'm very aware that the next 6 games before the next international break is the last international break before then having a very demanding period during December, January. It's important that we take it step by step. I know how this week will look. We know the schedule. We know that it's going to be 3 important games in just a few days. That's why I think it's very important that everybody stays connected, that everybody switch on, that all the players are ready to contribute, that we use the length of our squad. But at the same time, everything starts on Portsmouth. So I'm not thinking much about what's next, but to try to have a good performance and try to beat Portsmouth.
Listen up, Foxes fans, don't miss Leicester City take on Portsmouth this weekend live on Sky Sports with Now. It's back to proper football as we welcome back the Championship with Leicester City taking on Portsmouth. City are unbeaten in 7 and we've only lost 1 game this season. And you can catch all the action live on Sky Sports with a Now membership. So don't miss a moment. You can stream Sky Sports on Now flexibly, like Leicester City versus Portsmouth this weekend. Search nowtv.com for full details. That was almost professional, wasn't it?
That was slick, seamless, and stylish, Chris.
I'm getting there. Any match apart from any of the 3 o'clock kickoffs you can watch on Now TV, and also, of course, Premier League games and German Bundesliga, French League, I think, all of them. Now.com for all the information. Well, we could hear the guy asking questions this week. I don't think he was actually troubling Marty with the difficulty of his questions now. I think he peaked as with "you'll hope to take all 3 points." No, he's fucking hoping to go and get stuffed by Portsmouth. I mean, please ask them. I mean, that is a closed question. I'd love Marty to have just come back and went, yes.
You know, that is complete beige questioning, isn't it?
Yes. I'm almost getting the feeling that they do the interview, the press conference, and then they do a separate one that they put out, because that was only one person, and it wasn't Jason or Owen this time, was it?
No, I love Jason. Jason Bourne from TalkSport. He was box office.
Yes.
And what's interesting is one of the kids overheard the pundits on the half time, and they said, "You know what, Dad? It doesn't matter what the sport is. They all say exactly the same thing. Well, if we try a bit harder, we might score a goal. If we
Yes.
defend a bit better, we wouldn't have let that goal in." And it's just the same. So there's some people like Jason Bourne who do go above that, and they ask the really meaty questions, don't they?
What I would say is two things. Of course, the other thing that they always say is that you shouldn't hang England flags up at work, and it's all the fault of middle-aged white Englishmen. I'm not going anywhere with that. I'm just making that point. Maybe they should get me in the conference. I might ask them one or two difficult questions.
Go on, Chris. I bet you'd stir the pot.
Where's your? I was watching before we get into the question. I was actually watching an old show that we did, and you had a sign behind you. It isn't there now. You got your Leicester City one on one side, the sign on the other. Which I'm trying to think what it said. It was a bit.
It was Prashant noticed it, and I wanted to. We got chatting away, and I forgot to reply to Prashant. And he says, "Well, what's that sign on the back?" And what it was the joke, I printed it off. He's saying, "Have you got an ugly drummer? Rent one of our smoke machines."
Yes.
If you want an ugly drummer that you want to hide his face, rent one of our smoke machines. And I just thought it was quite.
I could see the ugly drummer and I could see the higher smoking streaks. I couldn't see behind. I thought it might have been saying something about Gary Neville, but there we go. Let's get into the press conference itself for what it was. Look, Steffi Mavididi. If you check the show earlier, I did with Kate, Pick and Mix. She actually put, and I did actually warn her that we were going to be talking about this, but and you wouldn't have been happy if you were watching it because she dropped Monga and put Mavididi in. But of course, Mavididi might just be the one injury that we've got.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I know I raved about Monga, but
no, you haven't. Who's told you that?
No, but you've got to balance it with trying to get victories, bringing people on, making those connections, which we're starting to see now. And Monga, I do agree what Kate said. Monga has limitations. He will leave the fullback a bit more exposed, maybe. Because Mavididi, although he's still not taking people on, and really Mavididi should be getting 8 goals a season, shouldn't he, in the Championship? Something 8 or 10. But he is doing a lot of tackling back, which he didn't do so much. So he has improved in that regard. And that's why I think he is above Monga. Whereas Monga, if he came on, because when we love something, you can get defensive and say, "What are you saying about Monga?" But I agree with what you said, Chris. Monga can come on and make a big difference.
Yeah.
I think for that reason, I don't think he's solid enough defensively to play from the start in most matches.
But of course, I'd forgotten, we've actually got 3 matches. We've got Hull on Tuesday, and then we've got a lovely trip to the beautiful area of Millwall next Saturday. I know. Doesn't get any better than that, does it? Away days.
Living the high life, Chris.
Yes. So I think Monga will start one of those. I don't think he will start the Millwall game for obvious reasons, as you were saying. I mean, I can remember when we played them and Thomas was scared to go and take a throw-in. So that's the one I think is unlikely to start. I do think he works well as a impact sub. Basically, Steffi goes on and wears them out. But if he's got this knock, he might not be injured. Might not be starting. Yeah,
that's true, mate. And I do wonder whether, because when Monga fell over, the first time he fell over, he got a lot of boos from, who did we play? Was it Oxford? But anyway, he rode that. And Marty said, he got a lot of stick from the fact they're opposing fans. And he came through it, whereas I think Mavididi is more susceptible to maybe criticism, what people think of him. And although it would affect Monga, I think Monga's a bit more stable mentally than, you know, he's got more inner confidence, I think, than Mavididi has.
Yes.
Despite his young age, maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
But there aren't many intimidated grounds like that left, is there, really, Chris?
No. You know, they say about fortress grounds. I don't think there's many of those left either, if I'm honest with you. But, I mean, he's 27. He missed out on the Swansea game. He said he's close to a return after suffering a hamstring injury, but does remain a doubt. I can see, like I say, I can see Monga starting, and maybe Mavididi coming on for the last 15 or something like that. He needs a goal, though, doesn't he, Mavididi?
Oh, please, Mavididi, score a goal. What would be ideal is if he beat a man, went down to the byline, come inside and shot near corner, because he does need that. We're desperate, because I do fear for Mavididi with his age of 27. If he doesn't make it this year in the Championship, you kind of have to say, has he found his level? And he's not lived up to his potential, really, has he?
No, I mean, he had a great first season when we were in the Championship. He obviously had the not as bad an injury as Fatawu, but he does need to insert his authority. Otherwise, I think, you know, he'll find Monga coming in and moving ahead of him. Yeah,
and I do respect Marty for. I love Monga, and I think he's brilliant and definitely the future, like I believe Ben Nelson is. But currently, I think he's playing him well, and I do like the fact that he's given Mavididi a series of games.
Yes.
Which other managers used to drop people in at the deep end and then pull them out and then swap and chop. And that's why, I mean, last season, our defence, was it ever settled? Was our defence ever, was our midfield ever settled? Whereas
it was, but they were just, I think they were settled because it was the same team every week a lot of the time, but they were just shit under roof.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
it's starting to come together now, Chris. We're getting a little bit of togetherness and team spirit, and I can see us really in the next month or two kicking on, to be honest.
Yeah, yes, and look, this is Marty's inherited the team that Rude had, but he's lost the best of the bad bunch, if you like, you know, because we've sold, you know, McAteer, Justin. All right, they're not world class, but they were, you know, they're better than some of those we've been left with. But you know, it's like being left with a guy who can't play the cello, and then suddenly Marty's got a tune out of him. You know, he's done really well, and I think now is the time, as Marty sort of hinted at. We've got to remember 11 games. That's all he's had. One pre-season game. I've got to stop saying this because I have been saying for a few weeks now. You know, it's like he's still in his pre-season. That's gone now, and I think we've got to sort of look at moving forward. But what he's getting out of these players, and I know everybody keeps saying that, you know, well, we were playing Premier League teams last year. Well, we were a Premier League team last year, so I don't buy that argument, you know, but I just think Marty's doing really, really well. Bobby Dakova-Reid scored midweek for Jamaica, man. And did you like that? Can I just say, I absolutely had my honeymoon in Jamaica, but apart from that, I love it.
You know, I close my eyes, Chris. It'd be like listening to Bob Marley. Is that Bob Marley?
My artist of the day on the breakfast show, Dorset Riviera Radio. If anybody wants to search it on the web, Dorset Riviera Radio. My artist of the day, which is the first 3 songs after the intro song, tomorrow is Bob Marley.
Ooh, lovely.
Yeah, lovely. There you go. A better Bob for you in the morning. Now, there's something I never thought I'd say that much.
That applies to 70% of the population.
It does really, yes, of a certain age. He's got a longer flight than a lot of people. I think we'd have this problem if if Harry Suter was playing regularly because of where he's got to play back from. I think that Bobby DeCover-Reid is going to be the alternative to Aaron Ramsey. I think, unfortunately, we're going to be seeing always one of those two starting. Bobby DeCover-Reid, not against Wrexham, had a pretty decent game, to be honest with you. And he didn't have such a good one against Swansea. But, I mean, I don't know, when you're flying first class, and I'm sure these guys aren't, back in the Ryanair cabin, they're going to be pretty... I flew back from Australia in business class, and I had a bed that went down, and you get out of that as if you've had a good night's sleep. None of this, all this jet lag. But I don't think he'll start because of that distance.
Probably not. So yeah, Kate had Ramsey starting, didn't she? I think
he did. Yes.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I did wonder whether he's going to chuck him straight back in because we've definitely missed Ramsey. For those 3 games, I think we would have had at least 2 or 3, maybe even 4 more points.
Yeah.
In 3 games, it would have made that much difference. But I do think we are clicking now, and he loves DeCover-Reid. He loves his attitude. He loves his professionalism. He said that you don't play year after year for Fulham in the Premier League without being a really good technical player. And he says he's a really intelligent player. He's good with his feet. So I think he will. We could end up with a squad where he uses most of the squad, and they all can fit in and seamless.
And it's square pegs in square holes. And I agree with you, Wayne. I always think when you're looking at a footballer, if they're good with the feet, it's always an advantage.
That's like Kate's thing today, isn't it? But what Kate said.
You picked up on that with Kate as well. She didn't. I forgot what she said now, but she didn't get me, did she? She didn't get me.
If it doesn't connect, not connected, or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. But yeah, those footballers that are good with the feet, we should get more of those, actually. But yeah, I do honestly think, and I said this earlier, that AU, I think it will be Bobby DeCover. I mean, he's not a winger. He might be one of the positions he can do, but AU's a bit more of a utility player. I think you can probably keep AU off until you know how the game's going. And if you need to kind of sort of hold out or get some free kicks or whatever, bring him on. But I think it is going to be Bobby or Aaron. But I don't think he'll start because of the long journey. I think with having Hull, we've got the late game tomorrow. We've got Hull on Tuesday, Millwall next Saturday. I think we're going to see 3 or 4 changes for each of those games because they come together. I think Ricardo will start tomorrow. I don't think he'll start then against Hull. Please, God, don't start Hamza. Because
Why not, Chris?
I like Hamza, but it was funny, and I said this to Kate again earlier, is at the start of the season, we're going, he's doing all right. But as soon as Ricardo came in, we realised doing all right wasn't good enough.
And he got a brilliant game, and then he had a mare of a game, didn't he? Gave a penalty away and did a back pass that could have led to a goal. And that's what you're saying. It's the old. I bet Kate and Jack and the guys that go down to the games, I bet they're so glad that at that time of Saturday night, we are not playing Portsmouth away.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, Ben's just said then, why is the game on late tomorrow? Somebody mentioned about Leicester Tigers are also playing Saturday afternoon, so they might have tried to move it for that. It's TV at the end of the day. That's all it is. And I was having this conversation with my mate the other week on Saturday night, actually. Last Saturday, we were out for a drink. There was no football. And we were saying all this shit that they said during COVID, like, we miss the fans, we want the fans back. Did they fuck? Because as soon as the fans came back, they started shitting on them. And you look at, they could make that game tomorrow night where we play Coventry. They could make that a late game.
Yeah.
Boxing Day, they could have us playing Derby, West Brom, Birmingham. But I don't know who we've got on Boxing Day, but they always used to give us Liverpool, didn't they, or Man City?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, like, it's so simple. I know the computer does it, but just swap some of the games round. What does it matter if you played Man City 3 weeks ago and you're playing them again now? It means sweet FA. Anyway, don't get me on that.
Well, Chris, one of my customers, he'd season ticket holder with him and his mate, donkey's years, but they used to do competition shooting, and he says when Leicester got doing really well, you get the fixtures on a piece of paper, on a piece of paper, and you couldn't wipe your arse on them because basically they all changed. And he says a lot of it was on Saturday matches changed to Sunday, and him and his mate says, well, with the pack and shooting, or so he gave his season ticket up.
Yeah, no, totally.
TV changed the fixtures.
Yeah, you're welcome, Ben. I mean, when we do a show, said all the fixtures are announced. It's poppycock. It's not worth the paper it's written down. And gosh, it's poppycock doesn't one know. But it's not worth the. Like you say, you can wipe your arse with it. All it means is you can see who you've got at Christmas and who you've opening game and your last game. But it is the second international break. We have got another one coming up in November. Yes. Although next year, obviously, these two that we've just had, they're putting together and having a 2-week break. And then they are talking about, after that, putting all three together and there being a 3-week break.
With the referees every season coming up with the new rules, and then UEFA are on about having this competition every two. You're thinking, oh, please, just break it down in here.
Yeah, why not start the season 3 weeks later and just do it then? I don't get
it's complicated, that, Chris, isn't it?
Well,
it's too complicated, surely.
For the surviving brain donors that work at UEFA and FIFA, it is a little bit. Now, interestingly, Marty said he felt a bit short on the season, and the aim is to be top of the table. Look, you want him to say that. You don't want a manager to say, actually, I think we're doing better than I thought we would.
We're overachieving. Who said that, Chris? We're overachieving.
I don't know. Who said that, Wayne?
Brendan Rodgers, weren't it? I'm sure it was Brendan said that, weren't it?
Probably. Yeah. He said it. But the thing is, though, is that I think we are overachieving.
Mm.
And look, we've had this discussion a few times, but if you'd have given me, and I'm sure if I'd given you third, the best of the three teams that have dropped down, after 9 games and 2 international breaks, with the manager that's only came in 1 game before the first game of the season, you would have written my hand off.
Yeah, and when he said that in the press conference, I was actually giggling because I thought, Chris is there going, yes. When he said it, I thought, you know what, you've been saying this all along, and I think you are right, Chris. I think what it is, we were, after one match, I felt disappointed that we couldn't get the win. I wasn't saying the team were crap.
No,
just, that's one that got away, really. But you're spot on, Chris. We are ahead of the curve. We would have bitten his hand off. And you could look at it that we have dropped points, but then you can flip it around and say, well, that then means we're in games and we had a really good possibility of winning them. We've not been outclassed in any game, even Coventry, like you said.
Well, Coventry, 27 goals this season, an average of 3 goals a game almost.
Yeah.
And yet they couldn't get the ball in our net, And, we lost to Preston, but even then, I think, we kind of, you looked at Preston and it was a case of, well, look, you can see they've been together for a while. They were...
the fifth are the fifth in the table.
Yeah, they're just behind us. Yeah, I think fourth, But it is true. But he's going to say, and this is what I like, he's saying the right things. He's saying what the fans want to hear. Whether he believes it or not, of course, we don't know. If I was top, I would have, and I'm not going to mention what went on with Stacking. We'll talk about it afterwards, but I've got to be careful what I say about a certain person leaving the club. But if I was top, I'd be going in and going, cheers, buddy. I mean, again, the points would have been very, or whatever that is in Thai. I'm sure we would have wanted more points. Of course we would, because we're going to get a points deduction. Sorry, Tom, but we are. And, that hopefully will be less because they've seen what we've done in the summer. Fortunately, all that money doesn't count towards the current one that we're being judged on. It will count towards the next one, when I think we should be all right. 80 million in, not a penny spent on outgoing, got rid of some big earners. So I guess, when we got those 4 draws, I mean, that was what, 12 points? And we got 4 from it, and you look where we could have been. And that, I guess, is annoying, because if we do get 9 points deduction, we still won't be bottomed, or depending when we get it, of course. But yeah. And what I like, though, the other thing he said was it's not just about immediate success. It's looking at the long term.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, like, could this guy write a biography, do you think? We could all read it rather than use it.
He ought to, because do you know what? What's the definition of a good man? Is getting the best out of the people that you're in charge of.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Rude, we hyped him. He came from Man United, world-class striker, and he just couldn't handle the pressure, and he didn't have the guts to make some really important key decisions, whereas Marty does. Marty's made the decision, and he's made some. I mean, we thought after pre-season he played low young kids, and then he started playing the more experienced.
Yeah.
But he was doing what a lot of other managers are doing. Like Cooper said, I don't want to get thrown under the bus in case we buy a load of young players and we get relegated. But Marty's he's able to do both. He's got the intelligence to do both, but he has got the balls to really assess the situation, analyse it with his team, with Kingy and calm, and come up with really good solutions and really good teams that fit where the squad is at the minute and the people we're playing.
Yeah. But I've got to say, although obviously he wasn't, I think Marty's probably one of the best orators that we've had as a manager, in talking to the crowd and in his interaction with the crowd. I think it's probably been back to Claudio.
Yeah.
And obviously Shaky, rest in peace, mate. Both of those, But apart from that, it's been a long time. And I think, although I say he didn't get his point over very well, I think Steve Cooper would have probably tried to do that had he been given long enough. But no, I think the fact that he's coming out and saying what the fans want to hear, and then having and I'm going to quote Josh, who does the prediction show with me here, having said that, I love him to bits, but
his laugh is infectious. Josh's laugh is. He should bottle that and sell it.
Yes, he should. But I love the fact that he spends 5 minutes saying why Team A should beat Team B, and then predicting Team B to win. But no, but he does. He says like, yeah, we should be top. I suppose that's probably what our aim is, to be top. However, we've got to look at it long term. So if we don't go up, and I was on the Portsmouth channel yesterday, and please check us out at 8:30. PO4 podcast is joining Brad for the preview. Lovely guy. And I said, no, I'd have been happy if we don't go up this season. To me, it's not the end of the world. So, I just think I can't believe. I know that he will. When I asked the question on Tuesday, I know that he will blood the youngsters. He has done already. But against Swansea, we had one youngster in there, and that was Monga.
Yeah. It was pivotal, Chris, and I listened to that. I worked that show. I really like that. The balance of all you four is a really good balance for good insight, long-standing fans, taking a really good level view, and he's got it spot on.
And then on top of that, you got Dave.
Well, that's it. Yeah, but you've got to throw a bit of randomness in. And Dave's
And there's nobody more random than Dave, let's be honest.
And I was the only group of people that he didn't offend, actually, didn't have a go at.
See, I know. But yeah, I think we have just, whether it's by choice or whether it's, luck, I just think we've got the best manager that we could have got. When you look at those that we missed, and I think I've said to you before, Potter, all right, he wasn't up for it this time, but as I say, he was being stalked by Top at one point. How's that worked out for him at West Ham? It hasn't. I don't even think he'd have probably kept us up either. Russell, oh my God, you know what I mean? What the hell? Danny Roll, he's not been snapped up. He says, clubs are looking at him, they say, but he hasn't been snapped. If he was that good, he would have been snapped up. Now, in fairness to him, he's not. He's doing what the guy that manages Newcastle has done. He's going round other clubs and watching and learning. So fair play to him for that. But like I say, if he was that good, he would have been snapped up. But we have, I think, just fallen on our feet with Marty. He knows what to say. And to say that English isn't his first language,
He communicates brilliantly, Chris. And interestingly with Potter, so was it you or Josh said about Potter? Sort of a lot of the fans didn't like him.
Yeah.
And that's, I used to ask a guy, he supports Brighton, goes in a local pub, I do quite a bit of work for regular. And I asked him, what are you going to do this year? Everything like that. And when they sold Potter, he says, no, we're fine. And then they got De Zerbi in, and they got Hertzler in. He says, our owner loves our club. He's really knowledgeable. He's got all the scouting system. He's got all the system. And they've not only got players scouted, they've got books of them ready to, when they sell the players. They've got the same with the manager.
Yes.
So in fact, we don't rate, and that's what he said, we do not rate Graham Potter as a manager. He was just in a perfect club that made him look better than what he was.
Yeah.
Whereas Marty's in a place, he's in a club that's struggling under PSR, and he's got more out of the players.
Yeah, you need everything to come together. Like when we won the Premier League, yes, we were the best because we won the damn thing, but there were other clubs that were struggling that had their own problems. Ranieri couldn't win the league with Chelsea, but he won it with Leicester. And sometimes you just need that combination. I think Marty's got the vision to look at Leicester and go, I can take this club places. We've got Seagrave, we've got the youngsters coming through. And hopefully he sees it as a long-term project. And I think he'll be a bit like Martin O'Neill. I think if, let's say Burnley, and I was talking to Burnley fan earlier because we're going to be doing a regular show again together. And I was talking to him, and I said, you're going to sack, Parker. It's usually happens when he gets the team promoted, and you're in the bottom three. And we were sort of laughing and joking about it. I thought, well, look, if Burnley were to come in for Cifuentes at the end of the season, if we got promoted, I don't think he'd go. I don't think he would go to a Brighton, a Brentford, Palace. He might go to a Chelsea, a Liverpool, an Arsenal, because they're harder to say no to. But I think, like Martin O'Neill, he said no to Leeds, he said no to Everton. His boyhood club came in for him with Celtic, and he went. And God love him, And I think it'll probably be the same with Marty.
Yeah, I was going to ask you before you literally answered the question that I hadn't even asked. How long do you think Marty's going to be here? Do you know what?
I read you well. You see that little thing that's on your ceiling? It's a camera.
What's your sensor score, Chris?
No, I know the lottery numbers.
Yeah. No, but I was going to ask you, how long do you really think he's going to be here for? And I do think he's different to Enzo, because Enzo was super ambitious. I think the question is, so obviously this guy is intelligent. He's already sat down with Calm, his mate, and they've said, how far do you think we can take Leicester? How far do you think we can go? Can we be a regular mid-table team, or do you think we can maybe in 2 or 3 seasons So it's going to be interesting what chats he's had and where he sees he can take Leicester, because I could see him going somewhere like Brighton. I could, because they are definitely a club with their infrastructure and their owner that I think they could get in Europe.
But are they any bigger or better than we are?
No, I don't think they are. I just think over the last few years they've been run far better.
I mean, having said that, of course, he did want to go to West Brom. Let's not forget that, and that's why he ended up on gardening leave.
Yeah,
So,
I think it's a perfect fit for Martin.
Yeah.
Our club is a perfect fit.
Tom said here, you can tell Marty wants to be here. That's a big thing for me. It doesn't work out like that sometimes in modern football. He leaves the group from that place as well. It's a good result so far. Look, I'm going to take you back to Ian Holloway. I will always say this. I mean, the guy, mad as a March hatter. He was totally bonkers. And but I did have a very, very quick chat with him because, like I say, he was manager when my Simon, my second son, was mascot for Leicester at Burnley. And we were struggling. And look, we went down that season, so we know it wasn't working. But I think any manager would have struggled to do anything with the squad that was there at the time. It needed the shock of being relegated and somebody like Pearson coming in and saying, let's start this from scratch. I think he was possibly the right manager just at the wrong time. And any manager that can take Blackpool into the bloody Premier League and to the top of the Premier League, fair to play to him.
It was completely surreal, wasn't it?
Yeah,
to see their orange kit it's just crazy.
It is totally. So fair play to him, but he wanted to come to us, and he was actually put on gardening leave, I think by Plymouth. I think it was at Plymouth before he came to us, and he wanted to come to us. And do you remember Theo Zagorakis?
Oh yes.
When we signed him, which was obviously under Martin O'Neill, he wanted to come to us as well because everybody was sort of saying, like, who's this Theo Zagorakis? Well, he was captain of the Greek national side, and I think if somebody wants to come to you, look at Jordan James this season. Wants to be here now. Okay, he said he wants to be here permanently. He wants to stay here. Again, he's saying the right things to get the crowd on his side. But he's obviously, was it France he was in?
Yeah.
Well, and it was not working out for him.
No.
And again, he looks at Leicester and goes, well, I'm from Birmingham. I'm just down the road here. This is good for me. And I'm not saying we're a sleeping giant, but we've got a lot of things in place that other teams haven't. Birmingham will have soon because of where they're going. Wrexham possibly will have soon, but we've already got those things there. All we need is some decent players. Look, if Marty moves on, and I wish him all the best if he gets us up and he moves on, because if he moves on, usually because he's done well where he is.
Yeah, that's definitely true. But I do think Marty, he's a hearts and minds manager. He's just watch Vikings and Ragnar Lothbrok, true, based on a true character. His people.
God, where did you get that similarity from?
But his people loved him. They loved him because he was really honest person. He tried his best. He had a good heart. He had his flaws and different things like that. But he created such a strong band of brothers. And that's what Pearson did with that side. And the best managers create that band of brothers mentality. And sometimes you've got to go through some shit. It's like the Great Escape was the best thing that could have happened to us.
Yes.
I think if we hadn't had the Great Escape, I don't think we'd have won the Premier the following season. And sometimes you've got to go through the real stiffest test. And I think Marty's had to really, really go through. I think it's been must have been really difficult to try and pick the players up, as you said, who were on the floor. Yeah. Started a month later than Enzo. And what he's achieved in the short space of time, and you can tell the players love playing for him.
Yeah.
And now we are starting to connect as a team, and our attacking games, it developed the defensive side crazily first, and we thought we would be more attacking, and now he's developing the midfield and attack.
I think he's right because obviously I'm old on the verge of being ancient, But when you look at any manager that goes into any club that's struggling, and that's usually when you change your manager, not occasionally because they've retired, but mostly it's because they're struggling. The first thing they do, and the other day we were talking about Gary Megson, and everybody was saying, "Oh, didn't like him. He was defensive and what have you." But that's what we needed at that time. We needed, because it's no good if you've got a striker that's scoring 20 goals a season. If you're letting in 40 goals a season, you're not going to win. Where if you're not letting goals in, at least you're going to get some points and maybe nick the 3.
So you're saying it's important to score more goals than you actually let in?
According to Michael Owen, yes. But this is it. Last season, let's say Rude had gone out last season and bought, and I know it's last season, but using it as an example, he'd gone out and bought a 20-goal-a-year striker, which we couldn't have afforded, but they're not cheap. We wouldn't have stayed up.
No, we were shipping goals
at the back. Exactly. So, we talking of strikers. You saw the. Well, yes, we have, and I'm going to talk about him. Mr. Daka, does he start for you? Because I had this conversation with Kate earlier, and I can understand why Kate, for the last 2 weeks, or last 2 games, I should say, last week, has been putting Carranza in. Very same reason that Tom was putting Vitesse in goal. You can't just expect these players, as in Danny Ward, never to have played in the first team, and then when he's ready to come in, expect them to be able to do a decent job long term. My thought with Carranza is that Marty's looked at him and went, if Jim's watching, I'm not having to go at Americans here, but he's played American football, he's then played, Dutch football, he's got to get used to the English game. Some players, it's like throwing a baby in the swimming pool. I mean, most of them will float. But, you can't expect them to suddenly swim a width or a length, You get the occasional one, like Fofana. He took to it like a duck to water, didn't he? It was like he'd been playing for ages. Other players like Soyuncu, I think, was as good as he was because he had that season to bed in, because we'd still got Harry Maguire for a season. I always say Kevin Keegan, when he went from Scunthorpe to Liverpool, didn't see the first team for quite a few weeks. So I think that's why we've not seen Carranza. I'm going to say that tomorrow I would have started. Well, if you saw the show early, I said this. I would start with Daka, but I have gone for a 3-1 win, and I have put him down as one of my goal scorers. So that's why I want him to start.
Hey!
And I think we'll see.
Yeah, go on.
So what I'll tell you was, I think we'll see Carranza come on for longer than we've seen him. I think each time he comes on, he'll be coming on for a bit longer.
Yeah, I think he's sorted the defence out. I think the midfield is really, there's some, even 2 or 3 games ago, some positive signs. And that's without Ramsey. I do think we would have been probably top if Ramsey been not got sent off. But you can see the midfield, it's starting to work. Right from the back, it's connected all the way through. The real problem now, how do we get scoring goals? Because like, is it Mike Stowley said? He says, when I look around at the Leicester team, I look at, so your Mavididi should be scoring 8 to 10 goals, 20 goals from the wingers at least. You strike up 15 goals, 12 if he's more, gets a lot of assists. He says, and I look through the Leicester side, I think, where are the goals coming from? And up front is a big problem because Daka, you can see why he uses Daka, because he presses, he's fast, he's aggressive, but his quality of touch, and it seems a paradox that what's the definition of a footballer? As you said, Chris, if they're good with the feet, that'd be quite useful, wouldn't it? The problem.
Write that one down. I'm going to remember that one.
Here's the problem. Here's a little glitch in the system. Daka is not very good with his feet. Is it?
Look, we know there's a good player in there. I do go back to the 4 goals against Moscow, right? I think there is a good player in there. I'm going to say 2 words to you. Kelechi Iheanacho. He came from Manchester City.
Oh, that's a big insult, that is.
No. Let me finish. He came from Manchester City with this huge reputation. But then again, you could put your boots on and score in that team for Manchester City. But what I was looking forward to him playing alongside Vardy. I thought he did, really do the Premier League. And of course, we never had 2 up front.
No.
And he never played regularly. It was always Vardy. Vardy's got a cold. Well, we'll put him in for 1 game. Funny enough, when he got a run in the team when Vardy was injured, he was our top goal scorer.
Yeah, in the cup did really well, and then it was dropped like a stone. Yeah.
Now, the thing with Daka is and it's a good argument. You could say, well, he had that last time we were in the Premier League. He was given a run, but I'm not sure he was. We all remember that Plymouth game when he got taken off and he had the world. Looked like he had the weight of the world on his shoulders. I said to Kate earlier, and I think Kate was saying it as well. Again with Mavididi, maybe once they've got a goal, even if it goes in off his arse, maybe that will just be the start. And are we playing, or have we been playing to Daka's strengths? Because let's say he's the nearest thing to Vardy we've had or we've got. Vardy wasn't scoring for us much last season because we weren't playing to his strengths.
No, but if you showed a reel of some of Daka's misses in front of goal, Chris, oh my word! And I
will take your reel of Daka's misses and throw back at you, and I'll raise you a Leicester City Bristol City game from the last time in the Championship when Jamie Vardy missed a couple.
I know what you're saying. Here's my thing about this argument. Well, and people's view. Well, all he's got to do is to going off his arse and his confidence is up. I'm sorry, you get a professional guy who's paid £75,000 a week, whose job description is to control the ball, be quick, be intelligent in the box. So what's the definition of a striker? Google it right now. AI or Google will say to create chances, to disrupt defences, to lay on chances for other people and to score goals. That's the definition. And you've got to be good with the ball, be able to control the ball, move at pace with the ball, because obviously if you move at pace and the ball's not with you, then you're probably not going to score a goal. That's just a punt in the dark, Chris, just stop in the dark at that. After 3 years of paying a guy £75,000 a week, who for 2 of the last 3 seasons has been playing in the Championship, not the Premier League, I'm sorry, in any other job role, he would not be working at this. If you want to view Leicester as a company, if he was a salesman under you, Chris, he would not be working. He wouldn't be with you for 3 years. I
would not have a salesperson under me that was only working 2 days a week, and that was only if one of my other salespeople.
But what if he couldn't ever close a deal, though, Chris? What if that got his salesman's job description is, can you close a deal? So can Daka close the deal in the box? No, he can't.
People buy from people. And when you come in as a salesperson and you take over somebody's area, and this is what always gets me, is that when somebody leaves a company, and this happens in sales a lot, that person leaves, that person's been building up that area for maybe 2 or 3, 4, 5 years, knows everybody by their first name, waves at them as he goes past if he's out shopping, and then you bring somebody in from outside the company that doesn't know them, he's not going to get the same response. Your orders are automatically going to drop. And I'm sorry, you can say, well, not if he does this and not if he does that. Yes, they do. They drop because people buy from people, and he's not got that. Their new person hasn't got that relationship that he or she had before them. Might get back up there. If you employ somebody from within the club or from in the company that you're thinking like, maybe they deserve a chance.
I've got visions of Daka going to approach a customer, then goes in his car and thinks, shit, I've left the samples at the office. That's how I've used Patson Daka. I'm sorry, Chris. I just think he's just not. He's not a striker. The definition of a striker, you've got to score goals.
Let me put it this way: he's not a striker in the same sense for the English game. No, because we know when we bought him from Austria that he was scoring goals, goal scoring, what have you. He can't do it in this country. Ruud van Nistelrooy, and you'll know this because you have the book, his autobiography. He won a trophy in Holland. And yet. So you've got to take that. I do take your point. I'm being facetious a little bit here, in that it's like Danny Ward being a goalkeeper. Excuse me, Danny. The idea is that you're supposed to save some of the shots. Yes, Daka needs the service. Yes, Danny Ward needed his defence to be better than they were, but they were both particularly awful. Thing is, it's who've we got? We've got Daka. We've got Carranza. We've got Ayew / Dakova Reed. The only out-and-out striker in there is Daka. And the thing that Daka gives you is the closing down. And I'm not going to... If you saw that earlier, you'll know the thing that I quote where he closed 3 players down. And that will give space to other players.
Oh, it's phenomenal, that, Chris. It's phenomenal. Yeah.
And I think if we are looking at... we weren't scoring goals, which we weren't last season, and we had, His Majesty Golden Arse Jamie Vardy, although he wasn't scoring goals. You can't rely on one person to give you goals. I don't care who's scoring, as long as the ball's there. 2 goals in the last 2 games from JJ. And he's a defensive bloody midfielder. Well, box to box, isn't he? Yeah. But we know he can do that. He did that against us when he was at Birmingham. So as long as the goals are going in, I don't particularly care where they're coming from. And I think Fatawu, Monga, and probably Ramsey will get to score. I mean, look, why do we need a striker when you've got the Messi of defenders that comes up and heads the ball in the net for you in Yannick Vestergaard? I'm sorry, just swap the positions around.
Yeah, definitely, mate. What's interesting though is it is a puzzle for Marty to solve.
Yeah.
If you had Daka's pace with Cifuentes' footballing brain and cleverness and the ability to shoot and better control, that will be your perfect striker. Yeah. He's just got to get the best out of what he's got, but there's no way going forward. If we had a 15 goal a season striker, which at this level you should be hitting 15, 20 goals if you are a striker, we would be a team that's dominating this division. I think if you've got dreams of getting it, he's either got to... I do think Marty will only buy somebody of quality. So I think he'd rather wait, because some fans saying, well, why don't we get a striker in January? But I think he'll only push the button if you're thinking, no, this guy's really it. And he'd rather wait till next summer to buy a better quality striker.
Tom has made a good point there about Daka. So I'll let everybody read that. But the problem is with January, look, if you want a 15 goal a season striker, you're going to have to be going out and paying probably a minimum of 15 million, I'd say. We haven't got 15 million. No. We haven't got 2 pennies to rub together, as my mum used to say. And that's the problem. So he's got to use what he's got. Carranza, he was a late signing. Again, he didn't have a pre-season with us where he could fit in. He was late coming in, and he's got to bed in. Because he obviously isn't a Fofana that can just take to it straight away. The other option, of course, is Jake Evans, the youngster striker. I thought we would be seeing a lot more youngsters than we have been doing. There's no... obviously, McAteer's gone. Apart from Monga, where are the youngsters? Where are the academy players? You know, a Coley even isn't starting, and I know he's not an academy player. But I mean, I'd like to see with Ricardo, for example. Let's go back to Ricardo. I don't think he can play Portsmouth, Hull, Millwall. I don't think he can start all three. Why not start Aluko?
Yeah, and I think that you guys are talking on Tuesday about, where are the youngsters, but it was interesting listening to you all, and then I think we're all in agreement that basically it's kind of, you have to play experience, but there will be time for them later on in the season. Yeah. And I do think the team will get stronger. It'll be more connected, and then it will be easier to drop these youngsters in for 30 minutes and different things like that. And I think we'll have more control of games than we've had in the first 9 games. And I think,
I don't know who it was. It wasn't me, so I can't claim this. But somebody said in the chat on Tuesday, it's easier to drop the youngsters into a successful team than it is a struggling team.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Although having said that, there's always the exception. And look, Monga last season we were a struggling team, and he came in and showed us what he did. So there's always exceptions, of course there is. Problem is, are we at this point of any point during the season going to be in the position where we are that safe? I mean, all depends on the points deduction. But what I'm saying is, so let me ask you this then, Wayne. So if Ricardo, and I think Ricardo, I would drop him against Hull because you need Ricardo against Millwall. Don't play the youngsters against Millwall. Play the big buggers. So if Ricardo doesn't play against Hull, let's say, so he's playing Portsmouth and he's playing Millwall, who do you start in that position? You're going to give him a rest, maybe bring him on for the last 10 minutes, 15 minutes if needed. Do you start Hamza Chowdhury or do you give Aluko a go?
I'd say Aluko.
Thank you. I agree with you. We are unanimous in that, young Wayne.
Yeah. Well, I don't really like to agree with you, Chris, but there you go. Sometimes you have to.
Yes, you do.
I do think the side is more settled. And it's easier now for Marty to start to introduce these, because a lot of them have been on the bench in different games. So he's trying to be inclusive with them, and they must feel part of the squad. Yeah. But obviously he's got to sit down and say, look, I really believe in everything like that, but you've got to understand where we are and we can't chuck you in at the deep end, but other players have the right. So you've really got, you've got to fight for your place.
Yeah.
But everybody's equal. So if you fight for your place and you prove it, you're in.
Yeah, yeah. Michael says there, what's wrong with Hamza? He's just not as good as Ricardo. So, and when he started, and I said this again to Kate earlier, so nip and watch that, Michael, pick and mix. We talked about him in more detail. But Hamza looked okay at the start of the season. When Ricardo came back, we suddenly thought, fucking hell, Hamza's not as good as we particularly thought he was, because Ricardo's way up here, which is why he's got to play as much as he can. But also, we've got to also be careful because of his injury history. So, again, with Monga and these games, if Steffi's not 100%, don't play him and leave him for that, because I think we're going to need the big professionals that have played a few seasons against Millwall. I don't think you can be playing the Louis Pages, the Mongas, because those Millwall are just going to go in and go, here, get me foot, there's down the back of your shin, I'm here, I'm here.
And there's a reason why Ricardo's captain, isn't there? Often,
because
he's seen leading the group. He's he's like Winks. He's very, very tidy with the ball. He's got football intelligence. He can be in the middle of a load of people and turn and give it back to the keeper or punch it through forward. He can have a run himself. Where Hamza can't do that. Hamza, when he's in the middle of the park, he kind of loses where he is and he makes mistakes. Whereas Ricky P's more tidy with the ball, which then means you're not going to lose the ball. I mean, that back pass that Hamza did, apart from giving the penalty, that back pass, that their player, I forget which team it was, he should have scored that goal. that should have led to a goal, and that was suicide football, Chris.
They've all got a grenade attached to their shorts. Yeah. No, but yeah, you're quite right. And look, Michael, he is an important member of the squad. I've seen him in a game where he fell over trying to make a tackle. It wasn't his fault. The other player who went in for the tackle didn't get it right, went down. He got up and ran after the guy and got the ball back. And let's be honest with you, we all remember the save with the left foot, with the right foot and the head against West Brom last time we were in this division. He has definitely got a place in our squad. I just think that, sometimes I think you've got to start these. I think he just scares me a little bit. And I think, Luco, I don't want to throw any of these youngsters in against the likes of Millwall, to be honest with you. But yeah.
I do think a lot of these young lads, I do think they will believe that they will get a chance as well, which is important, isn't it?
No, it is. It is. And that's the thing with, let's be honest with you, under Rude, and I know, look, he's gone, and I know it's in the past, but you can
let it go, Chris. Let it go.
In fact, let me do this. Let me do this, because I've not done this for a while. I do have to find it. Here we go.
Let it go.
Here we go. I forgot what I was saying now before. Oh yeah,
Crush your grape, Chris.
If few of these youngsters last season, you'd be looking at and going, "How shit is this team?" And I can't get in it.
Yeah,
And I think we all said, like, yeah, we want to see the youngsters. I said that we Ben Nelson plus one other as the centre back, but then Hayes and Vestergaard weren't as good as they are now last season. Thomas wasn't, and again, you're playing Premier League teams. I appreciate that. Winks wasn't this good last season. Factory was injured, so maybe if he hadn't got the best out of those players, then we may have seen more youngsters.
Yeah,
you're agreeing with me again.
Sorry,
you're agreeing with me again.
I know, it's very troubling, but that's the thing. That circuit. You might be nailed on for a start. You get injured, somebody comes in, you have a brilliant game, and then they're playing in the team for the next 20 games. That's just squad football, isn't it?
That is it. Once you've got the position, it's yours to lose. And I don't think Vardy may have been the exception, that if you speak, you have to bring him back in. I get that, and possibly Casper as well. But apart from that, yeah, if you lose your place and the guy that comes in is doing all right, you don't drop them.
With regards to talking the strikers, I think it's the biggest headache for Marta. Obviously, he's seen he can tighten the defence up, he can link the midfield, but that's a really interesting one. How can he get these people scoring goals?
Kate made the point that James and Winks do need to play more forward and get the ball through more.
So Winks doing these spinning round and punching the ball through and trying to. If he was like 20 yards further forward, and James, that is when you have more impact, isn't it?
Yeah. You can get the ball through to that. Like I said, you're not going to score. Vardy, we loved him to bits. He was never going to score under Rude because we never got the ball to him. You could have put Ronaldo up front last season. He'd have got 0 goals because we would not have got the ball through to him. And if he's got to come back and get the ball, then he's not where you want him to be. I do take you what you're saying, Michael, but compared to what we've got, would you sooner have Skipping than Winks? Oh.
I was Winks at the club, but you cannot argue with his stats and his
no, you can't.
To recycle the ball and get it forward. Yeah,
you cannot. Look, we all love Yuri Tielemans, don't we? For what he's done for us, but when you look at that last season before he left, I would not have picked him in a month of Sundays.
No.
So yeah, and then I say, well, Michael said there, no, yes. I don't know which one you. I think you're saying no to Skip, but you have to compare these players with one that we had, and sometimes these players, they are in a lower league, so they will perform better. Also, when you've got a manager that knows what to do, what you would put Skip in place of Winks. Tell me yes or no to that, Michael. Would you put Skip in place of Winks? Oh, Tom! Shut up! We're waiting for Michael to come back to us. Oh, no to Skip. No, I'll give you. For then, Michael, I'm going to get onto the asylum and send the men with white coats round to you. And they are at this level, but like I say, they're also under a manager that can get the best out of you. Look at Enzo and Vestergaard. In fact, I was talking to the Portsmouth guy, and we'll start to round it up. I was talking to the Portsmouth guy yesterday, and he actually said, tell me which players to watch out for, ones to watch. And he said, would one of those be Vestergaard? And I kind of laughed. And he said, well, I think you might find he's going to get a bit of abuse. Because obviously being Southampton. Portsmouth. And I thought, that's all right. I said, because you'll be singing along with our fans. It's the one we'll probably agree on. But again, I said, he does what he does. And if I wanted to do it, if I had to pick one player to do crossbar challenge, I would pick Vestergaard. And he could look. He's scoring now. That was the final bit of the jigsaw, and he's now scoring goals. Right, Wayne. I haven't got it up here, but what is your prediction?
I was going to ask you, Chris. When I saw you on a show earlier, was it with either Kate or last night with Josh? I thought I've not seen the clicking pen for a while. I've just heard you click it. Are you clicking it? Your pen? Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, and I do apologise if you can hear that. I tell you what, I'm going to swap that for. Let me swap it for. Where's the other pens gone? I'm going to swap it for one of those, which isn't a clicking pen.
No, but the thing is, when you click it, Chris, it's normally a sign that a really intellectually important questions come in.
No, it usually means that you're listening to an ex-smoker. I have given up nearly 20 years, but I still
have
in my hands, and I can't sit here and have a wank. So this is why I've got
right. Anyway, what was the question? What were you going to say, Chris?
Sorry. Got to keep my hands busy.
Let's talk about Tommy Tank.
Yeah, because you disappeared halfway through that show, I think, for the predictions, because your predictions suddenly stopped coming in.
Yeah, somebody popped around, so...
Yeah, no, that's okay. So what are you going for? What did you go for in the prediction league?
For the game tomorrow?
Yeah. No, the game in 5 weeks.
Oh, dear.
Can I just say, anybody that's watching this for the first time, this is what I've got to work with.
Oh, dear.
I mean, if I am Keir Starmer, that is David Lammy.
Yeah. Keep the insults coming, Chris. They all apply. 3-1.
Yeah. Oh,
I can't believe it. I don't know whether Tom's still watching, but I thought, Tom's going to go 4-1. Tom's going to go 4-1. He didn't. He didn't go 4-1. Tom didn't.
What did he go for? I thought he might have put it in. Yeah. Well, funnily enough, guess what I went for?
What?
3-1.
Did you?
Yeah.
Hey, get in, Chris.
Back to get the third and the
4-0. 4-0.
Oh, oof. He'll get it right 1 week.
I'm finally dipped to 4-1 then.
Yeah. Can I just say that that prediction league, it's a load of rubbish anyway. I'm thinking about stopping it.
Do you know what's interesting though? Tom was a couple of times. Tom predicted like Leicester losses, and now he's gone. All of us have gone like 2-1, 3-1. Tom's gone 4-0, 4-0, 4-0.
Well, no, last season I get, because you always want to predict your team, and again the Portsmouth guy said I said I've got to back my team. He said, well, I'd be very surprised if you didn't. I said, I bloody did last season. I said, when you've lost 17 on a row, you give up a prediction you're going to get a win, and you just go for the points in the prediction league. But I'm slipping down that table like a bride's knickers on the wedding night. I really am.
We've only had 9 games though, Chris.
I know. I am turning into the Wolverhampton Wanderers of the prediction league. Josh went 2-0. And Kate went 2-1.
Oh, close game she expects it to be then.
And Tom was drunk. Just leave it at that, shall we?
Yeah. Tom's crazy logic, he said he's going to explain tomorrow how we came up with the...
That's the pre-show conversation gone in one question then. Yeah. But just to remind everybody, talking of the Prediction League, if you are watching this and you are in the Prediction League, the new deadline is midnight on Thursday, so that you can watch the show, look at all the stats that I bring up. I mean, if you want to, obviously you can get the stats up yourself. They're all over the place. But if you want to do that, but there will be a game on Tuesday. So on Sunday, I'll be picking the Super Six. So there's the game. You know what I mean? The predictions will be out on Sunday for that. Are you free tomorrow, sir, for the watch along?
Yes, mate.
Indeed. Tom's going to tell us why he's, shouldn't be carted off to the funny farm and going 4-0 as well. We will be back at 7 o'clock, Tom, 7 if you're watching, at 7 o'clock tomorrow night, which is fantastic because I'm seeing my daughter during the day.
Brilliant. What a great blend of a Saturday, Chris. That is lovely.
Bob Marley in the morning.
Yeah.
My daughter in the afternoon and Leicester in the evening. My only downside on that is that between my daughter and the watch along, I'm having my flu jab.
Right.
But I'm not having my COVID. You don't want to have my flu and my COVID together. I'm gone. Totally gone. Wayne, thank you very much, sir.
Cheers, mate.
I do hope you're right on the prediction league, because if you are, I am. Middlesbrough.
It's so difficult. I mean, we on Sunday we play football, and we've got a fancy Premier League, and I was joint top after the first game. I'm now 9th out of 13. 13.
Wow.
I'm plummeted like a stone, mate.
Wow. Well, you know how I feel then. Of course, the first game is on tonight, and that is Middlesbrough versus Ipswich. So I'll let you go and watch that. But you don't want to watch that. What you want to do is come back at 8:30 and join Brad and Andy from PO4 Podcast, Portsmouth Fan Channel, and get their thoughts on the game tomorrow. Thanks so much, Wayne. Stay on. We'll have a quick one after. And I will thank you, everybody that's been watching. Like, share, subscribe. Don't forget, Now TV for all the games in the Championship except the 3 p.m. kickoffs can be bought with a Sky Sports Pass. If you've been listening via your favourite podcast platform, cheers, my dears. Appreciate you lending us your ears. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night, everybody.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.